Welcome back to another episode of Paint with Michele. As we continue our series Cool Cats and Kittens, this month we will learn how to create a painting inspired by medieval manuscripts. We will be using a watercolor palette for this painting, as it was the type of pigment commonly used by European monks who transcribed and illustrated several manuscripts from the 1100s to the 1600s. As you gather the rest of the supplies, let's learn a little history behind cats in medieval art. While cats have been depicted in art for ages, art during the medieval period seemed to not paint them in a favorable light. Often, cats were pictured as a force of chaos, evil, or demonic. In documents around 1170, the Church often accused their opposition, including the Knight Templar, of worshipping the devil, which took on the form of the black cat, while other art shows cats fulfilling the duties of rat catcher or a passer's spectre to a scene of great importance. Some believed that a dark cat was a sign of foreboding behind the artwork. Early portraits often had cats with humanoid-like features, highly expressive faces that bear almost no resemblance to the actual animal. Some are so grotesquely painted, they are haunting. Most artwork involving cats were found in manuscripts. Before the invention of the printing press, books were handwritten and mostly done by monks. In these manuscripts, the transcribers would add embellishments to the page breaks or chapters. These small blocks would show a single or group of animals surrounding letters or symbols. These illustrations often gave cats anthropomorphic portrayals, such as walking on their hind legs or carrying out day-to-day chores such as cooking or cleaning. Mostly, the art showed cats chasing and catching rats around the edges of the pages. Near the end of the medieval age, cats became more domestic, and so their art reflected them in more of a humorous and loyal style. For more information on the history of medieval cats, visit www.thegreatcat.org, which has tons of interesting facts of cats from several points in history. For our painting today, we are taking inspiration from the Peterborough Bestiary manuscript, which dates back around the early 1300s. We have created a coloring page that you can download and print from the link below in the description. Now, let's get started. Firstly, you will need watercolor paper, which is less absorbent than regular paper. I highly recommend using a paintboard and art tape to sterilize your paper. You will also need several cups of water, brushes, paper towels, a pencil, and watercolor paints. A 12 to 36 paint palette will give you several color options. Although it's not shown, I did use the lid of this palette to mix different concentration levels of pigments for the painting. When you have all your supplies, use the art tape and secure the paper to your art board. Try to make the tape line straight and even, and don't press too hard. Next, take a ruler and make a border frame about 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. Be sure to use light pressure so that you can erase the lines later. Once the frame is done, we'll start drawing our cat. You can use the coloring page as a guide reference for this. You'll want to make sure though that the ear and the tail are sticking out over the edge of the border. To start painting the base of the cat, dilute your pigment. For this video, we're using a light grey. I'm focusing on the head, the back, and other areas that tend to show the cat in shadow. Next, I use a darker grey and add more shading and dimensions to the areas like the neck, back, and end of the tail. To paint the cat's stripes, I'm using very little water, but it makes the pigment dark and opaque enough to make the stripes and fur details. Colour in the nostrils with dark grey and the ears with a pink or blush tone. As the cat dries, paint a light layer of yellow pigment in the frame. We will eventually build up the colour with yellows and light browns so the frame will appear golden in tone. Next, use the light greens and yellows to paint a hill for your cat to sit on. Then pick a corner and carefully free paint a medieval lily flower in any colour of your choosing. This 3-petal flower was often used in heraldry during the Middle Ages. Once your hill is dry, take a darker green and a small brush to flick blades of grass onto the hill. When the sections start to dry, you can gently erase your pencil drawing. Then, use concentrated black pigment to add details and then outline your entire cat. For the background of this piece, mix a light colour. In the video, I use the colour peach and paint small circles that are evenly spaced around the cat. Now, paint a darker layer of yellow gold for the border. Add shades of brown to give it an antique gold appearance. Don't forget to add whiskers at the nose of your cat. It's very important. Once the painting is completely dry, carefully remove the art tape by slowly peeling it and holding the paper down. Just a quick note, this was my first time working with watercolors, so it was quite a learning experience. In the end, I found it fairly easy to work with, as long as you use watercolor paper, which gives you more time to clean up drips and work the colors. Now, we just slayed this month's painting. If you use our coloring page, be sure to tag #LQCreationStation if you post it to your social media. Thank you for watching this month's episode of Paint with Michele. And we'll see you next month for another episode.